Whew, it's nice and cold this morning. In the winter, I usually start my mornings later. Take that one off. Just over here to here. I was going to take the one off on that side because it's so cold. And the same thing in the summer, I'll work earlier in the morning and in the evenings, and in the winter I'll work like in the midday mostly, or try to. So it's like 10 a.m. It's kind of like the earliest I start when it's this cold outside. I'm gonna have to start over there. But yeah, it's still nice and cold. It's probably just barely above freezing, so I might put some gloves on. But basically right here, all I've got to do is take this radio out. Once I have it out, I can work on it outside of the vehicle. And basically there's just a couple of connectors and two 10mm bolts holding it in. In old vehicles, they have vacuum lines that run a lot of the actuators. And those vacuum lines actually run to actuators inside of the radio, so that's what we're going to be dealing with. Okay, not that big of a Okay, it's not that big of a deal, but I can't open this door all the way because the little parking covers right there, but I was gonna say that should be plenty. These doors are so big. Just like that. And I keep calling this a radio, but it's actually just like an AC control center, climate control center. It looks like a radio, your normal radio and tape, cassette and everything's up here. So it's the size of a radio when you pull it out and everything, but inside's totally different. We'll get a good look. Think of like an AC climate control center nowadays. Some of them, like in the 2000s, some of them still quite big, but it's just... But nowadays, it's mostly just the electronics and everything, switches and motors that are a lot smaller. Once we pull this out, you'll see that they're not using motors to actuate blend doors and stuff. They're using vacuum actuators. That all runs through here, so like the actual radio and cassette player is up here. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Tighten that up. Yeah, as electric motors got better, and now we have stepper motors and everything. Hopefully we won't have a lot of issues in the future as stuff gets better. You run into issues with like plastic parts and blend doors and whatnot, but in the old vehicles, like I said, they run off of vacuum lines, and you can see the vacuum lines right here. So you can run into issues when those lines themselves break or crack. And you could see like 4 little metal tabs right there under the white and yellow wires. Those 4 little metal things right there are actually actuators under there. You can see some electronics in there. Again, circuitry and everything's gotten smaller in modern vehicles. So hopefully that means they'll last a little bit better as well, because we'll talk about the issues that come with this, particularly why in these Marquis and Crown Vics and Mercury cars you have these issues. It's pretty common, but it's not like new stuff's without their issues as well. Like I said, a lot of like 2000s to 2015 plastic pieces in the blend door actuators, the plastic pieces and stuff break, so quality of materials is important too. There are better quality materials in this older stuff, but the technology's not as good, so win and lose a little. Well, those nuts on the back of this look like it's been messed with before. I'm guessing, I saw this duct tape, it looks like somebody else has been in here before, but those nuts should be all the way, they should be all the way down. It doesn't look like that's what's causing the issue. I didn't hear a vacuum leak either. It's really common what's going on inside of there, so we're just going to go ahead and tackle that. But it is weird that those nuts aren't down all the way. They aren't like super secure nuts anyways. See how they're just like those weird little hollow security nuts? So that's why I said they're not the most secure and strong nuts anyways. It's not that big of a deal if they're not all the way tight. Almost banished that 10mm to the shadow realm. Ouch. Cutting my finger a little. Come on. Uh-oh. Okay, well, you can just buy replacements of these. They're usually just rebuilt. I'll show you how to do that. Not sure what size this is. T20 Torx. Looks like there's 2 of those holding this case on. If we look at the case, okay, if I can get this out and disconnected. To wiggle off and perfect. So we'll just set this aside. Again, this case is good to go. Nothing else on that. Okay, looks like we've got little Phillips bit ones, little one size bits here. I think I might have smaller than one here, so I gotta be careful. No, this would be a 2. Yeah, that's probably 1 then. Weird. It's not the best fit, but that should work. Okay, now when we get to the top here, we've got 5 of these screws. We're gonna have to take all 5 of these out. Oh, 5 on each side, I mean. That makes 10. We're gonna have to take all 10 out. Okay, now when we're down to here, we're gonna have to pry these locking tabs. So there's 2 on each side. There's an O-ring inside of here that we're gonna replace. And the other thing to know is just don't get these little silver pieces here, these little shiny ones. This little spacer put in backwards when you're reassembling it. To make that easy, you can always just leave one in its original position to reference. If you need to, you'll have to take it apart, but that way you know which way the original one was. Don't take them all apart at once is what I'm saying. And these tabs kind of double lock. We'll have to push this one out this way and pull this one up this way. Okay, so you can see this metal piece here. There's a beveled edge and a flat edge. And it's important to know that the flat edge faces up towards the top of this. Okay, the main problem is these O-rings here. Okay, then inside each of these is a spring that goes in second. And below that spring is this. You need to put this in with the flat side facing down and this little dimple side facing up, like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace these 3 O-rings, and then I'll do this one last. Okay, that other kit didn't have O-rings small enough. This one definitely has O-rings small enough. I've just gotta find 2. Probably one of these. Huh. Not sure. I think one of those smaller ones would be nice. That's it. That's the one. Oh yeah, see how much easier that went in? Let's get this back together. I'm freezing. Standing around for 30 minutes doing that made me cold. Can these be mixed up? No, luckily, because I was going to mix them up. So something else you want to be aware of is whether or not you actually have a vacuum coming to this unit. You want to check the vacuum lines. That could be the other issue if you don't actually have vacuum coming to it. In this case, we did have good vacuum, but it wasn't working. Both are just as common. I guess those lines, old vacuum lines, are stiff. They were probably pretty stiff from the factory. Probably why they don't give you extra room in there to pull on them, but makes it tough to tighten these back down. should work. Let's plug it back to, oh, it's plugged in. Let's check. I've got to start the car because it needs vacuum. I don't know why, I'm so confused right there. If it doesn't have vacuum, it's not changing. So hopefully that was it. I was like, hey, there we go. Alright, we had nothing out of the vents before. Look at that. Now I can change it to like the floor. Oh yeah, you can hear it change. Defrost, oh yeah. That's a job well done. If you like this video, you have to be subscribed to the channel and leave this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching this episode. You can check out the next episode right up here. I had a lot of fun doing this job. It comes up every once in a while, and it's pretty common on these old Ford vehicles. Well, let me know what you think in the comments down below. How would you have gone about this? I think it's always worth rebuilding rather than buying one that's rebuilt online. You're gonna save a little bit of money, and like I said, you're doing the same thing anyways. Well, if you wanna help me take my wife to dinner, you can donate at the links in the description, and I'll see you on the next episode of Roadside Rescue. That's a job well done.